I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. My name is Mariel. So we're just missing Commissioner Oliverio at the moment.
Here, Luigi.
Yes. So if anyone sees him come in, please give me a heads up so I can note it for the minutes. Okay, so summary of hearing procedures. After the staff report, applicants and appellants may make a 5-minute presentation. City staff will call out the names of the public who have identified the items they want to speak on. You may identify yourself by using the raised hand feature on Zoom, clicking *9 on your phone, or you may call 408-535-3505 or email planning support staff at sanjoseca.gov and identify your name, phone number, and what items you would like to speak on. As your name is called, city staff will unmute you to speak. After we confirm your audio is working, your allotted time will begin. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. Speakers using a translator will have 4 minutes. After the public testimony, the applicant and the appellant may make closing remarks for an additional 5 minutes. Planning commissioners may ask questions of the speakers. Responses to commissioner questions will not reduce the speaker's time allowance. Staff will unmute the speaker to respond to the commissioners. The public hearing will then be closed and the Planning Commission will take action on the item. The Planning Commission may request staff to respond to the public testimony, ask staff questions, and discuss the item. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. The Planning Commission's action on rezonings, pre-zonings, general plan amendments, and code amendments is only advisory to the City Council. The City Council will hold public hearings on these items. Section 20.120.400 of the Municipal Code provides the procedures for legal protest to the City Council on rezonings and pre-zonings. The Planning Commission's actions on conditional use permits is appealable to the City Council in accordance with Section 20.100.220 of the Municipal Code. Okay, that's always a mouthful. So welcome to today's Planning Commission. Welcome to 2021. The year got off to a bit of a rocky start, but hopefully everyone is doing better and staying safe and dry during this wet period. So at this time, I'm going to call the meeting of the January 27th Planning Commission to order, and we will start with public comment. Staff, do we have any speakers for public comment for items that are not on the Planning Commission agenda?
We do have 2 hands raised. I'm not sure if they are for a particular item. Would you like me to unmute them to see?
Yes, please.
Okay, Paul, you are unmuted. Did you want to speak at public comment or did you have an item that you wanted to speak on? Paul, you have to mute yourself.
Council.
Hi, Mr. Soto. We are having a difficult time hearing you.
Hello, I can't, the Zoom. Hello, I'm trying to,
We can hear you now.
okay, all right. My name is Paul Soto. My saludos to the Chicanos on the commission. I'm a son of campesinos from Salsipuedes. I was born at Valley Med 52 years ago, and I have 15 ancestors buried at Oak Hill Cemetery. First of all, I'd like to give my congratulations to Commissioner Bonilla for successfully passing the 10 members on this planning commission versus that 7, which 4 was stacked from the most redlined area in San Jose. You know, this has gone on a little bit too long. And, you know, I'm not cool with it. I'm from the Horseshoe. I'm from the most redlined area in this city. Okay. And we need to start confronting those issues because the gentrification, which I call manifest destiny with a smile, that's all it is. Manifest destiny with a smile. Okay. And with manners. But the goals are the same. We are gentrifying the indigenous populations of Sanjo and we're relegating them to the Central Valleys. Yawasaku, we took the labor of your ancestors to build this city, and now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and bring in all these billions of dollars into the city and gentrify the descendants of those people outside of the area. That
Mr. Soto, it looks like we lost you. If you come back, we'll give you 1 more minute to finish your comments. So at this time, Danielle, why don't we go ahead and move on to Mr. Beekman, and then we can come back to Mr. Soto to see if he's addressed his IT issues. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. B. Beekman, you are unmuted. Did you want to speak at the public comment or did you have a particular item you were waiting for?
Public comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. There has been the approval of many committee meeting minutes on most city council agendas with this January 2021, with items about surveillance and technology and data collection practices for the city. It is my feeling that the approval of these minutes is to describe that the city is currently placing more 4 and 5G technology in local neighborhoods at this time. Technology to help bridge the digital divide, and that also includes much new surveillance and data collection technology for neighborhood safety and Vision Zero issues. In this beginning new year, I wanted to ask again, remind and make sure that telecom companies and local governments are being sure to practice open, honest public policy ideas and allowing for everyday community a fair amount of time to question and appeal the massive push of placing 4G and 5G in local community neighborhoods at this time. It is my goal for it to be understood that open public policy should be an important addition in the questions of how to bridge the digital divide, as it is the ideas of trust, inclusiveness, and overall good community practices that can work towards community harmony and sustainability, and that can help address the helplessness, apathy, and hostility everyday people can feel at this time. So with all of this in mind, how much time do I have left? I'm almost done here. So with all of this in mind, over the next few months, I'd like to check in with yourselves here at the Planning Commission and with other parts of the city government with what should be a simple procedural job for all of us, that telecom companies and San Jose City government are coordinating together and making sure that telecom companies are offering good open practices to the community, and that telecom companies are making a process clear and allowing the people of local neighborhoods time to appeal and question if 4 and 5G technology can be placed in their local neighborhoods. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Danielle or Jennifer, can we make sure that the timer is showing on the screen? It's not showing. And so I think folks are not sure how much time they have. So before we call on the next person, can we get that going? And Commissioner Oliverio has joined us. Welcome.
Hi.
And I'm actually going to go ahead and call on Commissioner Lardino at this time, just while we get, oh, never. Do you want to wait until after public comment, or do you want to ask your question now?
Oh, I just got a comment myself, but I can wait till the end of the public
Okay,
comment
great.
period.
So I think we have one more person, correct?
Yes. Shawnee, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Shani Kleinhaus. I'm the environmental advocate for Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society. And since I'm here, I thought I'll talk to you about artificial light and light pollution. I tend to think about artificial light as I do about sugar. People crave light and they always want more, and our society is addicted. Yet scientific evidence increasingly shows that artificial light at night is unhealthy to all living beings and to our planet. Because light interferes with gene expression and hormone regulations, it affects our physiology, metabolism, and behavior. The harm that light at night can cause is pervasive and extensive, from cellular to organism to ecosystem, and at the global level, biologists now recognize light pollution as equivalent to climate change as a threatening factor in our on our planet, and they think it's just it's reversible, and we should start reversing light pollution and not adding to it. It's been shown to cause obesity, diabetes, breast and prostate cancer. It's harmful to children's growth and behavior and mental health. It's a potent pollution, and we should treat light pollution as pollution. Globally, light pollution has increased so much that most children, including more than 80% of American children, and probably most in San Jose, have never seen the Milky Way in their hometowns. What will inspire children to want to be astronauts, to wish for the stars? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And I also wanted to say that it's good to see you, Commissioner Bonilla, and I wish the best recovery path for you and your family. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And again, we lost the timer, so if we can.
I'm timing her
Okay, perfect.
on my phone. It's just, yeah, it's we're having some issues with it. It's getting frozen a lot.
Okay, if you can give people 30-second and like 5-second warnings, I think that would be extremely helpful. It looks like Mr. Soto is back, and so I'd like to give him 1 minute to finish his comments. It's about, I was timing him on my phone previously, so.
Okay, Mr. Soto, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and continue to speak.
Gracias, Senora Caballero. Gracias for that. My issue is this, is that the deck has been stacked. 4 representatives from this commission were from Willow Glen. Okay, it pains me that I have to stand here and articulate this to you to show you how offensive that is to the Chicano, whose labor has been exploited in this city for decades. And now we are the ones that have to bear the weight of fearing that we are going to be gentrified out of this area, because we are. You're tiptoeing your way all the way down First Street. Both sides of First Street is going to be dominated. You're going to have a 24-story building going up right there across the street from the Burger Pit where the place is at. Okay, so, and you're not telling the public. You're not telling them that you're slowly moving your chess pieces into place. And then you're just saying, well, thank you, goodbye. We exploited the hell out of your ancestors.
15-second mark.
And now we're going to continue to exploit you and just squeeze you until you just leave. Just get out of here. Just get out of the city. I'm telling you, I'm in San Juan. I'm going to die in this city, and we're going to get to know each other really well. Again, gracias, Commissioner Bonilla, for your work. I'm out. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next, we have Arshdeep. You are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, thank you. I just had a few quick things I wanted to hopefully bring to attention. With the pandemic highlighting all the interest in or all the use of outdoor space, I would like if we can make our sidewalks like a standard for them to be wider, because over the years it seems like they have been getting more and more narrow. And then along with that, if we can move our bike lanes, like many of the other cities, many of the other like European cities who have way higher bike usage, to have our bike lanes be in between the parked cars and the sidewalk versus the bike lanes between the parked cars and the moving traffic. No matter how many bike lanes we paint and how much money we throw into bike lanes, no one's going to bike on them. And I'm seeing that in my neighborhood. People are still biking on the sidewalk, and we aren't hitting our goals of decreasing our vehicular traffic, motor traffic. And then the other quick thing I wanted to mention was it would be really neat if San Jose would incorporate on a large scale permeable asphalt and permeable concrete for our sidewalks and roads. That would really help with not only restoring our water table, but also mitigating flood risk, because we wouldn't have a lot of standing water in our low-lying neighborhoods, and we wouldn't rush our creeks, which in turn will flood over to our low-lying neighborhoods. And also it will decrease our creek erosion, which, as you already know, is like a problem, and a lot of properties built up against creeks are having to be like, are having structural issues. Yeah, so permeable concrete, permeable asphalt, wider sidewalks, and bike lanes away from moving traffic. Yeah, that's all I wanted to highlight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that would have been a great comment under 5A, which is our citywide design standards. So we'll take that into consideration when we consider that item. At this time, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Lardinois, who has his hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to say to Vice Chair Bonilla, I'm glad you're with us tonight, and hope you're feeling a lot better.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move on to item number 3, seeing no other public comments, hand raised for public comments at the moment, which is deferrals and removals from the calendar, and there are no items under item number 3. Item number 4, there are no items under the consent calendar. So we'll move on to item number 5, which is a public hearing. And I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And item 5A is PP 20-015 and ER 20-265, which are adopting a resolution approving new San Jose city-wide design standards and guidelines to replace the existing commercial, industrial, and residential design guidelines, and delegating authority to the Director of Planning, Building Code Enforcement to make minor clarifications, corrections, or technical changes to text diagrams and diagrams of the San Jose citywide design standards and guidelines to be published on the Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement webpage. So with this, we have our project manager, Layla, who we've seen before on this item. Welcome back. And if we could go ahead and have the staff presentation, please.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is Leila Hakimizadeh. I'm a supervising planner and project manager responsible for updating San Jose citywide design standards and guidelines, referred in this presentation as guidelines. What do the updated guidelines do? The San Jose citywide design standards and guidelines are being updated and consolidated so that commercial, industrial, and residential design guidelines are in one document. Compliance with the citywide design standards and guidelines will be mandatory in the design review process for all applicable developments. The citywide design standards and guidelines are effective 30 days after approval by the City Council. Any planning application submitted after the effective date for a new permit or permit amendment is required to comply with the is required to comply with the design standards and guidelines, except for projects with the planning application under review prior to the effective date. What do the updated guidelines not do? The updated guidelines do not change the zoning ordinance, including height, setback, or parking requirements, change the general plan, including land use designation, density, or floor area ratio, require improvements related to transit, transportation, streetscape, or traffic congestion, change accessory dwelling unit requirements or tiny houses, change public safety, homelessness, or affordable housing policies. Why update the guidelines? Updating the guidelines is a city council priority. Our general plan requires maintaining and updating design guidelines and abiding by them in the development of projects. The existing guidelines are outdated. They were created 30 years ago. The updated guidelines will create consistency and predictability for applicants and the public, will respond to contemporary design, provide guidance for newer development types, and create higher quality architecture. In addition, in recent years, because of the California housing crisis, there have been new state laws that mandate how we write and enforce design standards, including SB 330, SB 35, and Housing Accountability Act. Where do the guidelines apply? The new citywide design guidelines will apply to the area within San Jose's urban growth boundary, except for single-family residences, rehabilitation, modification, or adaptive reuse of historic buildings, downtown San Jose and Redon Station area. Projects in urban villages, specific plans, and North San Jose are subject to the standards and guidelines within those documents. If those documents are silent on any specific design components, the design standards and guidelines in the new guideline shall apply. Community engagement. The community engagement process for this project started in October 2019. There were several opportunities for public to provide comments, including 2 community workshops, 2 historic landmark commission study sessions, 2 planning commission study sessions, and a developer and designer focus group meetings in July and August 2020, and several one-on-one meetings with architects and environmental advocates. The design guidelines were updated in 2 phases. The first phase was downtown design guidelines and standards approved in 2019. The second phase was citywide design guidelines presented tonight. Other existing guidelines may be updated in future. I'm going to provide a brief overview of the document content. The guidelines are organized into 5 chapters and an appendix, including, 2 appendices, including introduction, site, building, pedestrian level, and specific development types. The guidelines follow the same format to create consistency. Each page has several subsections, including name, guiding principles supported by the subsection. Guiding principles are defined in Chapter 1. Objective, which identifies the purpose of this page. Rationale explains the reasoning for each subsection. Standards are objective and quantifiable requirements. Guidelines describe best practices and serve as overarching design guidance. Related subsections list other subsections that are related to the topic or area. And general plan reference provide a list of policies that each subsection supports. Chapter 2, which is site. This chapter provides site design standards and guidelines to support walkable, functional, and safe communities throughout San Jose. It also discusses the role of a building in a block, street, and larger urban context. Building chapter discusses building massing, facade design, historic adjacency, bird safety design, access and entrance design, building elements, and public art in private developments. Pedestrian level. The ground floor of a building facing the street has a substantial impact on the quality of the public realm. This chapter provides guidance for how buildings and open spaces should interface with the public realm. Specific development times. This chapter provides example of how standards and guidelines may be implemented across a variety of development types. In general, public comments were about bird safety design, relationship to historic context, privately owned, publicly accessible open space, landscape and stormwater management, lighting, hillside and views, connection and accessibility, sustainability, building design, reduction in blank wall, commercial frontage, and house opportunity housing. To respond to the public comments, planning staff applied changes to the July 2020 citywide guidelines that were presented to the public and planning commissioners. Some pages had substantial changes to accommodate public comments, including but not limited to landscaping and stormwater management, which is this page, hillside and views, historic adjacency, lighting section, bird safety design, and commercial frontage. In addition, since we distributed this document in our website on January 14, and we also distributed it to the planning commissioners, we have made some minor technical corrections to the documents. So I have to read them for records. So I'm going to read what are those changes. Okay. So in the parking garage design, in the section 3.5, we have removed S5, which is a standard 5, and changed it to a guideline. Okay, so I am going to remove read that new guidelines, and standard S1 will S5 will no longer exist. So that new guideline will be G4, and it will read as this: for standalone parking garages, if rooftops are not utilized for parking, provide renewable energy, green stormwater infrastructure, patios, landscaping, or other green roof strategies. Related to this change, we also had to correct 2 diagrams that are reflected in figures 3.44 and 5.40 to reflect these changes. The next change is historic. We also made a change to the historic adjacency section, section 3.13. The following guideline was typed by mistake as a guideline. It was always a standard, even when we presented to the Planning Commission in July. So it was mistakenly was typed as G3. It should be S3. I'm going to read it for record. Use historic materials that match nearby historic building on at least 25% of a street paseo or public open space facing facade and on 10% of other facades that are visible from public realm. Historic materials, including masonry, brick, limestone, terracotta, cast stone, mosaic, concrete, and wood, um, should be used. So these standards were also substantially changed based on the comments we have received from Historic Landmark Commission in July. So those percentages were added based on their what we heard from them. The next change is in the landscaping and stormwater management section. There is a minor change in S1. So the new standard will read as select trees which at maturity create a tree canopy cover that shades a minimum of 50% of each on-site surface parking area, common open space at the ground floor, and privately owned and maintained public open spaces. And the last one is a minor correction to description of a diagram. This is figure 5.5. The label should read as following. Primary street facing building facade articulated for more than 60%. So instead of 80%, it should be 60% of building frontage along the street using bays, columns, and facade plane changes. So with that, the staff recommendation is that Planning Commission recommends that the City Council take all of the following actions. 1, consider the determination of consistency with the envisioned San Jose 2040 General Plan Final Program Environmental Impact Report adopted through Resolution number 76041 and Supplemental EIR Resolution number 77617 adopted on December 15, 2015 and addendum thereto, and adopt a resolution approving resolution A approving new San Jose design standards and guidelines to replace the existing commercial, industrial, and residential design guidelines, and B, delegating the authority to the Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement to make minor clarifications, corrections, or technical changes to the text and diagrams of the San Jose citywide design standards and guidelines to be published on the Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement webpage. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Layla. So at this time, we're going to take public comment. So if folks could go ahead and raise their hand if they want to make a comment related to this item on the agenda. And just for the future agenda items, public comment will happen immediately after the staff presentation. So each member of the public will get 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Pedram, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, I'm Pedram Farashbandi, a principal at David Baker Architects. I would like to first thank the planning department and the staff for not only their work on this thoughtful proposal, but also working with the members of public as well as involving the design professionals. Over the course of these guidelines developments, we were given multiple opportunities to comment and enhance these documents. However, we identified 6 items in the documents that we have emailed the planning support staff today that which we recommend to be further reviewed to better align with real life constructability and addressing the critical need for more housing in the city of San Jose. Once again, we would like to thank the entire city government for this important work. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Arshdeep. Arshdeep, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, thank you. There was a little, sorry, you guys went over the tree canopy space and kind of a landscape, and I just wanted to comment and try to encourage you guys to require it to all landscape to be native plants and follow a habitat style design. When we do California natives for our area, it doesn't turn into that desert, dry, low water look that was kind of become mainstream for a little while. It is still very lively and green and has year-round color. And I think that would be very important, not only just for the wildlife and the quality of life for all the residents, but also to help give San Jose a sense of place. So we look less like every other large city out there. And then the other thing I wanted to comment about was on the mixed use buildings, is if you can, it wasn't clear to me, so maybe you guys already worked on this, is to encourage more mixed use versus swaths of dense housing, and instead have a lot of mixed use buildings with commercial and industrial, like professional office spaces and storefronts and housing all in the same building. I think that would help achieve the city's goal of the 15-minute cities, and that would greatly reduce our carbon emissions and reach our San Jose like eco goals. Yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Shani. Shani, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Good evening again, commissioners, chair. Again, Shani Kleinhaus for Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society. I emailed you earlier today in support of San Jose citywide design standards and guidelines. I would like to thank the planners, Leila and Tim, for reaching out to us as they developed the guidelines that would protect birds from colliding with buildings and contribute to tree canopy and plantings in San Jose. We do hope to see a substantial increase in locally native trees and shrubs in San Jose over time. Earlier today, the Rules and Open Government Committee enthusiastically and unanimously voted to advance to Council priority session a memo by Council Member Davis that called for an urban greening implementation plan. The Rules Committee members recognize the benefits that nature and birds bring to the city, and an approach that breaks the silos and bring investments in green infrastructure that brings nature and weaves it into the city is needed. So this should mesh well with, if the city prioritizes it, with the citywide design guidelines and standards, and hopefully result in a thriving, livable city that is kind to its residents, birds included. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like that concludes our speakers.
Great. At this time, would staff like to respond to the questions or to the comments, or would you like to move to commissioner questions?
I can briefly answer questions. The only thing is when Mr. Pedram Farashbandi was talking, about 30 seconds of his talk was disconnected from my internet. So I just wanted to know if he had a specific questions or comments, or was he just complimenting the document? If he had a specific question, I did not hear it. But I can respond to the rest of questions. And so one general theme was about asking for native habitat and trees. I really appreciate this comment and I agree with this. However, I shared this with our city arborists and landscape designers, and they were hesitant to make it as a requirement. This doesn't mean that they are opposed to native trees or they are not encouraging it. They just did not want it to, they don't want it to have it as a standard, as a requirement, but we still encouraging native trees, and we are even encouraging oak trees on sites that are bigger than some certain size in San Jose. Any changes that would require introducing, mandating native trees and plants should be considered as a citywide consideration in future planning efforts with the city of San Jose. The second question was about mixed-use buildings. That's a good comment, I agree, but I think that is more like a land use comment that can go into the general plan updates or urban villages. This document, which is the citywide design guidelines, do not regulate where buildings should be located or how they should mixed, either vertical or horizontal. That is more like a land use issue. So that just concludes my response to the questions.
Thank you. Okay, so I see I'm going to recognize Commissioner Oliverio. If any of the other commissioners have questions or comments, please raise your hand at this time.
Thank you, Chair. Staff, curious, could you provide an example of a design guideline on residential that SB 35 would say absolutely not?
I don't know, maybe Tim, do you want to answer these questions? I don't know how
Sure,
to respond.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tim Rood, Planning Division Manager. My understanding is that a guideline that was subjective and not measurable, such as, I'm just making one up now.
Well, I can help you with that, Tim, if you want. This is Vera.
Or Vera, do you want to?
You want me to help you with that? The easy one.
If you have any.
Many of our guidelines in the past have said that new construction shall comport or somehow be consistent with the design of the neighborhood, surrounding neighborhood. That's subjective, particularly that's subjective. What is objective is to say that the new construction shall have a red tile roof, for example, or we'll have a blue tile roof, whatever it is. If you have a neighborhood that is primarily, has Spanish style architecture, Monterey style architecture, you may have that. But where it's supposed to be consistent with the existing neighborhood style, that's too vague and too subjective. And so that's an example of a subjective criteria.
Another example would be something that was tied to an adjective or an adverb like overly or excessively, which would leave itself open to interpretation.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Lardinwell?
When I was reading the document or the staff report, I saw references to facades being articulated, and I didn't know what that meant. So can someone explain that language?
Yes.
So that refers to changes in material, in plane, in those would be the two primary ones. It could also be changes in fenestration pattern. So basically ways of visually breaking up the bulk of a building by differentiating it visually into smaller masses.
Thank you. And then also,
sorry,
is it defined in our glossary as well, Leila?
I will check it right away. But also facade articulation means that to the extent possible, what the site allows, avoiding a flat facades and providing interestingness, including providing some recessions and projections, changing in the plane, changing in material, and adding balconies. I am going to check if we actually have it.
We do actually. I just pulled it up.
We have it? Okay. Okay. So we have it also in the glossary defined.
Okay. Thank you. And then kind of more, this might be a very broad question, so anyways, I read the memos that were prepared on behalf of the Santa Clara County Housing Authority, and I was curious how those comments were addressed, and those particularly those concerns about the Housing Authority trying to create affordable housing and limits it might place on unit count.
I'm glad you asked these questions because I would say 99% of those comments were addressed. And so we even circulated the semi-final document before we sending it to the public. We send them back the document and to ask them that all their comments were addressed. So they find 5 or 6 items that were not addressed, and then we address those 5 or 6 items. So if let's say if they had in total 20 comments, we addressed 19 of their comments. There was just one comment about the depth of ground floor retail that we decided to keep it as a standard. If you need explanation for that, my supervisor team can explain it. But I wanted to have you rest assured that we explicitly responded to 99% of their comments.
Thank you.
Commissioner Torrance?
Thank you, Chair. So I have a question. I know that the whole point of revamping these design guidelines is to solve some problems, right? To make things more cohesive and fix things that have been outdated. And so one of the problems you're solving, you're giving the Director of Planning some extra abilities to fine tune minor things, it sounds like. So I'm just wondering, did the Director of Planning not have that ability before? How was it before and compared to how it will be now?
Yeah, I can explain it because I've been actually doing this for the last 7 years, so I can do comparison. So, so there are first of all 2 types of corrections. Okay, first, if we find a substantial change to a standard, for example, if you want to raise the height of a ground floor retail from 14 feet to 20 feet, that's a big change. So for those type of big changes, if we ever decide to do them, we have to write a memo and take them to the City Council public hearing. Okay. But there have been in the past that, like particularly I have written long-range planning documents that the wording of a standard or guideline were not clear. They needed some tweaks to be readable and more understandable and be clear, concise, and easier to use. So for those situations, when we are not changing the substance and the meaning of the document, we are just making it more clear. We are not adding new information. We didn't want it just to take those to the City Council because there is no need for it. We could just make the correction and it could just take sooner just to do them. For example,
Layla, this process is the same one that the Commission and Council authorized for the downtown design guidelines. So we earlier this year, last year, issued what's known as a director update, which is an update and sort of correction or clarification of the downtown guidelines based on the director's authority. So this is the same model.
And as Tim said, we actually use that model to make some like technical corrections to the document that we found. Like we found like maybe 10 items and we corrected them after it was approved.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, so seeing no further questions from the commissioners, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and request a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a motion from Commissioner Oliverio? Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Torrance, beat you to the punch, Vice Chair Bonilla. So second by Commissioner Torrance. Would either of the commissioners like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
No? Okay, so we will go ahead and do a roll call vote. Commissioner Caballero? Aye. Commissioner Bonilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Casey?
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia?
Aye.
Commissioner Lardinois?
Aye.
Commissioner Oliverio?
Aye.
And Commissioner Torrance.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Okay, great. And so we will go ahead and move on to item number 6, which is to continue the fall 2020 general plan hearing from December 9th and January 13th. Or actually there wasn't one on January 13th because that meeting was canceled. And item number 7 is general plan consent items, and there are no items on the consent calendar. So we'll move to general plan public hearing, item 8A, which is GPT 20-005, which is a city-initiated general plan text amendment to the Envision San Jose 2040 general plan to update policy H-2.9 within objective standards and make clarifying revisions to the neighborhood community commercial land use designation. And for this, we have Ruth Cueto, who from staff who will be making a presentation. And for attendees, this is your chance to go ahead and start raising your hands for public comment. We will take public comment immediately after the staff presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so we are here to present on item 8.A, General Plan Policy H-2.9 updates. Before I start my presentation, I just want to acknowledge that Kristen Clemens with Housing, Jared Ferguson with the Office of Economic Development, as well as planners David Ying and Jessica Setiawan and Jared Hart, Division Manager, are here and were part of the team that worked on this policy. In this first slide, you'll see the current policy. In 2016, as part of the first General Plan 4-year review task force update, the task force and staff developed a set of policy modifications and additions to address the growing need for affordable housing. One of those policies was H-2.9. At the time of the adoption, the policy required that eligible sites be adjacent to residential designated properties on 2 sites. And in 2018, at the direction of City Council, staff modified that particular criteria to make it so that the requirement was only on 1 side. So why the proposed changes? We have direction from City Council again, and this direction is to define underutilized as it applies to these sites. It's part of our housing crisis work plan. The current General Plan 4-year review task force in early 2019 recommended and staff supported that we remove the commercial requirement, which is part of the current, the existing policy. Additionally, we are trying to sort of, we're trying to be more in line with recent state legislation, such as the Housing Accountability Act, SB 330, and streamlining laws, which require cities to review housing developments, housing development projects based on objective standards. So as you've heard before, you know, in Layla's presentation and likely in other situations, cities our ability to use subjective criteria is being restricted by the state, and we have to tighten our definitions of objective standards, and that's what you'll see in the proposed changes. And we hope that this new policy will provide clarity on key definitions and criteria. We also hope that it will lead to more consistency in the application of the policy. And in response to requests by the public, we will be publishing an interactive map of the sites before the City Council hearing on February 9th. So we're working on that. We hope to actually have it go live either later this week or early this week, but That map will be for the sites that have an FAR of 0.2 or less. And I just want to caveat that with that the map is not the entire universe that this policy would apply. There are potentially other sites with a higher FAR that may meet the criteria that's listed in the policy changes. Or, in a few years, they may meet that criteria, but we're not yet able to identify those sites in a very simple manner. We don't have a database that tracks vacancy or tenancy for commercial sites, but I'll discuss that a bit more as we move through the policy changes. So the first clarification that we want to make is the definition of affordable housing development as it applies to this policy. We have always intended that this policy apply to projects that will provide 100% affordable housing at AMI levels of 80% or less. This would be consistent with the sister policy of 5.12. It's very similar to this one, but it applies to urban village areas. And that one is very specifically calls out the 80% AMIs. The other thing we want to clarify is just the site size. When we talk about 1.5 acres, we mean gross. It's just the standard practice in our planning reviews that we look at the gross site. So we just clearly want to label that in the policy itself. And the definition of underutilized. So looking at criteria 2, from our perspective, from the planning perspective, when you look at, we consider a vacant site to be underutilized, and by vacant we mean, just a dirt lot or an empty lot, no structures. And then in line with our general plan goals for a more dense, mixed use, sort of multimodal shift community, we believe that surface parking lots and sites with low density, a low FAR, do not contribute to those goals and that vision that we have for General Plan 2040. Staff initially looked at sites with an FAR of 0.25, so higher than what we're recommending. And we noticed in the review of those sites that they tended to be sites with thriving businesses, with small businesses. And we felt the need to balance the interest of housing development with the city's efforts at small business anti-displacement. So it was sort of our way of balancing competing interests. And really that's what this policy is about, as you'll see when we describe how we got to the definitions and the criteria here. And given that, we still wanted to give an option for sites that had a higher FAR. And for that, for a project to be able to take advantage of that, the site, if it did have an FAR of greater than 0.2, it should also be a site that is has no tenants, no businesses, that it's completely vacant in that perspective. And so what we are thinking, sort of the way we're going to implement that is, as I mentioned before, we're going to have a map that's going to show the sites that are 0.2 and below. Right now, we can't map the ones that would be higher and have that vacancy because we don't have like a go-to database that tracks tenancy or vacancies of commercial land. So we are developing a system, and we will have more information as the policy moves forward in terms of how do we ground truth what a developer is saying. If it has been vacant, we have Google Maps. We also have the Department of Finance's business license database that we can sort of go back and look, how long has a business been there? Have they, have pulled a business license? And then also just based on our knowledge of the city and these sites, some of us may know, yes, that, store has been vacant 3 years, 5 years, or the last decade. So moving to criteria 3, adjacency to residential. This one again is also a clarification. When we developed the initial policy and the language, staff's intent was always that the site had to share a property line with another property that had a residential designation. And we do know that some developers have requested that we consider adjacency to mean across the street, so not necessarily sharing a property line. But we we would not support that. We think that that was not the intent of this initial policy. And streets also vary widely from, neighborhood streets to like 4-lane major thoroughfares. And these streets generally serve as buffers and transitions from one land use type to another. And so criteria 4, proximity to industrial sites. In consultation with the fire department and our Office of Economic Development, staff is recommending a larger buffer for sites that have a heavy industrial and light industrial designation. And again, we're sort of going back to making a proposal that's going to balance different interests. So we want to, what we're reflecting is, support for housing construction, but then also our jobs, land preservation goals in the general plan. And just to note that the reason why we targeted the HI and LI sites is that these sites are more likely to need hazardous material permits that require a larger buffer from residential uses. And again, it was just, our intent is to strike a balance here, affordable housing and our severely eroded industrial lands that we really want to try to protect. Criteria 5, proximity to transit is another clarification. The 30-minute peak headways language is standard in affordable housing funding proposals. And it's also in line with our intent with this policy to, this policy is targeted to sites that are outside of growth areas. And we want to make sure that where we are introducing significant growth or growth, that there is proximity to transit so that we can also continue to support, multimodal shifts. And with criteria 6, we introduced a more objective language, took away the should and introduced the shall. And with criteria 7, demolition of occupied residential units, staff initially was considering, that the policy would not be, you would not be able to use this if the site you were looking at had occupied dwelling units. But after discussions with the public and internally with our team, we decided that it's that it would be okay to move forward with that as long as it's consistent with state and federal relocation laws and the city's Ellis Act ordinance. And with that, I leave you with our staff recommendation, which is in the staff report as well. And we are open for questions or comments. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So Commissioner Bonilla, I think, got kicked out of the Zoom, so he's trying to get back in, and I see someone just moved him up to panelist. Thank you very much. So we have, let's move to public comment.
Okay, B. Beekman, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, thank you. There was a good rules and open government meeting today. It seems like a good time to remind at this meeting that not only apartment and small business tenants are eligible for current subsidy programs, but in this time of COVID-19, apartment owners and small business landowners are as well. I ask again for these owners to please consider these options as they are safe carrying ways to work. They are very open and very available. This can be difficult to get used to, but seems a very good system for the next couple years of COVID-19, simply so people will not be hurt. For owners to continually force the court process onto tenants and small business renters exacerbates the very good intentions state and federal subsidies programs that are meant to cover most expenses for both tenants and owners in this time of COVID-19. Again, is the intention to create ideas so both tenants and owners will not be hurt at this time and that an entire community can feel safe in this difficult time. Thank you. With my remaining time, I wanted to talk about ideas of equity. In the previous item, for all the good work that was mentioned, are you prepared to address ideas of equity with that? I think those ideas can really help shape good practices. And that, just to remind you of those things, it's always important and helpful. There are important new ideas in very low, extremely low, and mixed income dwellings that I hope is getting noted at this time. I'm really into mixed income ideas myself. The MTC, you know, different people are coming into commissions now. You know,
15-second mark.
thank you. They have very good ideas how to address current state regulations that have become a bit, you know, tangled us up a bit. It's an important, good time. I hope we can work on what's possible this time. Thank you.
Okay, next is it's under events. If you could state your name for the record. You are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak. Events SVH. Okay, I'll go back to that one. Rick, go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, good evening. This is Rick Osalvis with SV at Home. We advocate for housing and certainly affordable housing options. So we have been following this policy closely over the last several years. And we're happy to see that objective standards are being brought to the table. This policy was addressed in 2018 by City Council, which directed staff to improve the objectivity of the policy. And since its inception over the past 5 years, unfortunately, only one project has come to fruition. So certainly this policy can use improvement, and we're pleased to see that progress coming to the table. We support the recommendation of the GP task force to strike commercial requirements in the policy, as that will certainly open up opportunity for housing and affordable housing development in much needed areas. However, we do have some concerns and some comments with regard to the objectivity of some of the recommendations to date. It would be extremely helpful if we had access, for example, to the map that was used in some of the assumptions and analysis that were conducted in order to make informed decisions and recommendations, as we are unable to come to the same conclusions as some of the staff recommendations. And we believe that we can get there if that map was made available to the public. It's been a little bit difficult to engage constructively, and we're hopeful that the discussion can continue to progress positively. But we do have some concerns that we would like to raise to light. For example, assuming that some of these properties are multi-tenant properties, would a property that was 20% occupied or 80% vacant for a period of 5 years be considered as underutilized under this rule? That's unclear. Or would the property have to be 100% vacant? It seems that there are some additional definitions that have to be made available.
Hi, Rick. Your time is up. Okay, let me go back to events, SVH. Whoever has your name listed as events SVH, you are unmuted. Okay, I think they might have raised their hand by mistake.
Yeah, I think it might have been the last speaker as well. So thank you. Okay, so at this time, I will go ahead and recognize Commissioner Oliverio because you have a hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the staff presentation. This certainly allows much more liberal policy, provides more flexibility. So that's important. I do like the fact that staff kept in mind the nature of, we do have a jobs housing issue in the city, and that and making sure that there's a fine line in that and getting that together. For example, in your example of, well, there's residential across the street. That's not the same thing as sharing an actual physical border on the property line. So I very much appreciate that. On question for staff, how many lots or sites would be affected citywide?
Thank you, Commissioner. What we have seen, we have approximately 240 sites that meet the criteria of 0.2 FAR and below. So there's still a universe out there of the greater FAR sites, but we're not able to map those. What we have mapped are approximately 240 sites.
And is that, would I be fair to say that's approximately 360 acres?
I am not sure if I have that in front of me. I can try to look at that.
I think I can answer that. Jessica Stillan of the Planning Division. It's hard to say. All the sites that we chose were between 6,000 square feet and 1.5 acres, and so they've ranged. There was a big range within that range. I think. Are you asking like, are there viable sites, or are there like larger sites? Like, how many are there in a certain range?
Well, no, the policy will impact X number of lots,
right,
and multiplied by the amount of square footage / acreage. I was curious what that total would be.
Yeah.
And and if you don't have it, you don't have it. But I was going off of 1.5 acres, but you're saying, hey, some of these lots are really small, so maybe take it down to an acre, or do you think a 3/4 of an acre is the average?
I can actually pull it up right now. 1 second as I summarize this. And if you have any additional questions, go ahead and ask those while I pull these up, because it's VPN's loading a little slow today.
No sweat. Are you in the GIS system or something?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think I have any. I don't want to just make conversation.
Okay.
So why don't we come back to that question in a minute? Ruth, do you want to respond or comment on any of the public comment?
Yes, thank you.
The rest of the commissioners.
Yes. So just to respond to SV at Home's comment, as I mentioned during my presentation, we are working to create a live interactive map of these sites, and we hope that it will be available to the public by the end of the week or early next week, so that they can have an opportunity to actually take a look at the sites and provide feedback and comments.
And I have the answer to your question. It's just under 100 acres.
Okay, great. Well, being that we consistently are approving low-income housing developments and even market rate housing developments in infill at 100 units to the acre, I think tonight there's a proposal for 246 units to the acre as part of a GP amendment. So if you look at 100, I'm sorry, you said there was 100 lots, right?
240 sites.
No, I'm sorry, but the total acreage was 100 acres, right?
100, yes.
That's correct.
Right. So then this change of policy could net 10,000 housing units potentially, right? Roughly, depending, each lot's different, et cetera. So I think this is a pretty huge change, and I think compliment the staff on the work from the direction they received from council. But I think if anything else, should there need to be broadening of the policy, you could always come back to it, but just this change would create a substantial amount of new housing production. So I just wanted to share that from my perspective and what I'm seeing on this. Thank you.
Chair Caballero, there was another item I wanted to address from Rick at SV at Home. It was the last piece of his comment that he was getting to in terms of the sites that have a greater FAR, whether or not they can have a 20% tenancy and still be considered underutilized. The policy says that they shall be vacant, no tenants. So 20% is still a tenant. So as I explained during my presentation, completely empty, no tenants.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions from the commissioners? Sorry, I'm not seeing any. So, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Oliverio. Do we have a second?
Second.
I missed who made the second.
Lardenois.
Thank you. Sorry, you were very muffled and I missed the
No worries.
green border around who was speaking. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Oliverio, a second by Commissioner Lardner. Would either like to speak to the motion?
I would just say this, Chair, as a former member of the City Council that viewed many of these land use issues as we struggled to maintain land for jobs. This was a question that came up from time to time, and this is certainly a much different policy than it has been in the past. And this new policy would allow, from my perspective, a lot of opportunities for infill development. And I think it's a policy that's been a long time in consideration. And I think it's some may want it to be even more, but I think that would sacrifice a lot of the tax base of the city to do even more. San Jose is, I think, very generous in this regard because we're often giving up this commercial land and forfeiting property tax in perpetuity, since low-income developments in the city of San Jose do not pay property tax, and that's a trade-off we make, right, to provide housing for those of fixed income, but we forgo that. So we need to have some commercial land. I think it's a good opening based on what staff has explained. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Oliverio. Okay, and I would echo your comments. And as a member of the General Plan Task Force, I know we had quite a robust conversation around this item, and I think that this is a balanced proposal, and I hope that the City Council moves it forward. So at this point, I'd like to take a roll call vote. So Commissioner Bonilla had to leave the meeting, so he will not be voting. Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Great. Commissioner Lardnois.
Aye.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Aye.
Commissioner Torrens.
Aye.
And Commissioner Caballero is an aye, and that passes 6 with a 1 no abstention or absent. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item 8B, which is GP 20-004 and GPT 18-009 and PDC 17-022, which are general plan amendment to change the general plan land use designation from mixed use neighborhood and mixed use commercial to transit residential, a planned development rezoning to allow up to 246 residential units and 4,600 square feet of ground floor commercial space, and a general plan text amendment to change the Martha Garden specific plan to allow for 0 setbacks and a maximum height of 77 feet with an additional 10 feet for architectural projections on an approximately 2 gross acre site located at South 1st Street and East Virginia. So we have Robert Rivera, who is our staff. So we will go ahead and start with the staff presentation. And for our public, if we have anybody who'd like to make a public comment on this item, please start to raise your hand now. Thank you. Robert, take it away.
Thank you very much, Chair Caballero. Robert Rivera with the Planning Division. Pardon me. GP 20004, GPT 18009, and PDC 17022 is a privately initiated general plan amendment to change the Envision San Jose 2040 general plan land use designation from mixed use commercial and mixed use neighborhood to transit residential, and a general plan text amendment to the Martha Garden specific plan to increase the allowable height on the subject site from the maximum of 35 feet on South 2nd and 55 feet on South 1st to 80 feet with an additional 10 feet for architectural projections and a 0 setback along the subject site. The proposed plan development rezoning would change the zoning district from the CN commercial neighborhood and CP commercial pedestrian zoning district to a PD plan development zoning district that would allow up to 246 residential units and 4,600 square feet of ground floor commercial square footage on approximately 1.2 gross acre site. The project site is located on the southeast corner of South 1st Street and East Virginia Street with the address of 802 South 1st Street and is currently developed as a single-story auto repair warehouse with garages along South 2nd Street and a commercial retail building along South 1st Street. Currently, the auto repair warehouse and retail building are unoccupied. The subject site is bounded by two-story attached single-family residential homes to the east, a gas station and automotive repair business to the west, retail commercial buildings to the north and to the south, two-story single-family residential homes along South 2nd Street, and a commercial building along South 1st Street. The transit residential designation is intended for high-density and mixed-use residential development that are located in close proximity to transit, jobs, amenities, and services. The transit residential land use designation has a minimum FAR of 2 and a maximum FAR of 12 to better address the urban form and potentially allow fewer units per acre if in combination with other uses such as commercial or office. The applicant's proposal to change the land use designation from mixed-use commercial and mixed-use neighborhood to transit residential is consistent with the general plan major strategies, goals, and policies supporting focused growth, social equity, and form-based planning. The proposed changes to the Martha Garden specific plan are consistent with the goals and objectives of the specific plan and would facilitate a project that would provide residential infill and intensification and reinforces a sense of neighborhood. The project encourages neighborhood serving commercial uses and preserves the enclaves of existing single-family residential development. Any future development would still need a plan development permit that must be consistent with the proposed plan development zoning and the proposed development standards. Regarding outreach, on November 2nd, 2020, planning staff hosted a virtual community meeting to provide information and receive input on the proposed general plan amendment, general plan text amendment, and plan development rezoning. Approximately 55 community members attended the community meeting. Residents and stakeholders expressed their opinions and concerns. Community members were concerned about the transition of heights and parking for the proposed rezoning. Staff clarified that the proposed project was for plan development rezoning and a future plan development permit would be required, and the future project would provide parking spaces consistent with Title 20 of the Municipal Code. Other residents asked questions related to affordable housing and expressed their opinion that the council district already had far too many affordable housing developments. Staff responded that affordable housing and market rate housing would be allowed. Furthermore, staff noted all residential projects are required to comply with the city's inclusionary housing ordinance, which requires a developer to provide an inclusionary housing in lieu fee or housing compliance plan that determines how a project will comply with the ordinance. Since the community meeting, the applicant has elected to satisfy the inclusionary housing requirement by providing on-site affordable housing for 15% of the total residential units. With regard to the environmental analysis under California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, an initial study mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the subject general plan amendment and plan development zoning. The document was circulated for public comments from December 3rd, 2020 to January 15th, 2021. The analysis concludes that the proposed general plan amendment and plan development zoning would not result in physical changes to the site and would not result in any new substantially increased significant impacts beyond those previously identified in the Envision San Jose 2040 General Plan EIR as supplemented. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission make a recommendation to the City Council to find the proposal in conformance with CEQA and approve the proposed general plan amendments and plan development zoning. This concludes staff's presentation.
Do we have an applicant that needs to make a presentation as well?
The applicant is Eric Schoenhauer, and he would like to speak.
Okay, let's give him 5 minutes, please.
Eric, you're unmuted.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. This is Eric Schoenhauer. Good evening, Chair Caballero, members of the commission. I represent the D'Amico family, which are the property owners and the applicant in this case. This site has been a planned residential site for quite a long time. And the goal here tonight is to revise the Martha Gardens plan and to establish a new zoning that conforms to today's standards for building residential and mixed-use buildings. And the overarching objective is to replace a vacant and unattractive automotive use with a new urban residential building with ground floor retail along First Street. So we hope that you will support staff's recommendation to approve this general plan and zoning tonight. The Martha Gardens specific plan was adopted over 17 years ago in 2003. And since that time, the city's general plan has called for taller and denser development throughout our city. And in addition, the building code and the construction norms for new residential development have changed over those 17 years. So the Martha Gardens planned heights are out of date and force inefficient construction types that make development infeasible. So our proposed general plan amendment and PD zoning tonight will set the heights at a modest level that will make projects feasible from a construction standpoint. Our project, as proposed, is a significant and compatible improvement for the neighborhood. Currently, the site is a vacant tire shop. It's been a tire shop for many decades. It was last a Wheelworks tire shop. And we will replace that with an attractive urban mixed-use building, including active street level uses with retail along First Street. So this will be a better use for both the residential neighborhood as well as bringing new people and customers to support businesses along the South First Street business district. The last reason that the project is worthy of support is that we're proposing to actually construct the 15% required affordable units. Most projects in the city pay the in lieu fee and do not construct the units. However, in this case, we see the benefits to the project and to the neighborhood of actually building the 15% affordable units within the building. And so we think that's a benefit to the project and the neighborhood as a whole. And overall, the zoning will allow up to 246 much needed housing units for our city. So for all those reasons, we hope that you'll approve the general plan changes tonight and the PD zoning. And I'm available for any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to public comment.
Okay, Ariella, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Aurelia Sanchez and I live in the Spartan Keys neighborhood. And I think I'm a little bit confused. I think the last time I spoke with Eric, we had a community meeting through planning. I thought this was going to be an affordable housing project. And if this is still the case, I feel that we have way too many affordable housing projects in this neighborhood. We have received very little help from the city in regards to our crime rate, also regarding the blight. So I would like more clarification. Is this going to be an affordable housing unit, or is it just a certain percentage of the units going to be affordable? Also, I'm a little bit concerned about the parking. You know, this is a high crime rate area, and people that have to park on the streets because parking is very hard to find in my neighborhood, there is that safety issue. So, you know, the Martha Gardens plan was addressed up many, many years ago, and I was part of that conversation. And many of the amenities, the parks that were promised by the city to our neighborhood never took place. The only thing that we have had is affordable housing. We already have about 5 or 6 affordable housing projects in my neighborhood. The current one that's being built is an SB 35 project with 300 units.
20 seconds left.
Parking. So if someone could address those concerns about the conditions of the neighborhood and the fact that we don't have enough police, we don't have enough city services, you know, that has to be addressed other than we want to put more affordable housing in your neighborhood and the
Okay, sorry, time is up. B. Beekman, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, I think for the previous item and for this item, my words were a bit broad and more maybe possibly as an overview of the subjects that you're dealing with for these items. But I hope they can be of help in understanding a perspective in how to look at things at this time. And I wanted to quickly offer from the last item that CASA, kind of the housing advocacy, study group, they did some really good studies over the past few years to better understand very low and extremely low income housing ideas that I think have become kind of a good standard for ourselves, and that I think everyone respects and likes. And what I'm trying to do at this time is ask what is our next steps from that. What can be those next steps? And I really feel mixed income housing, if we're brave and strong and true, it does really interesting, good things, and it invites balance. It invites, a different way to look at the community experience and the neighborhood experience. And so I don't know, we've all thought about it and talked about it for years. I don't know if we're ready now, but I just hope this can be the time to bring that out. And like what I tried to say, there's new people at the MTC and at the local level who really want to address, state bureaucracy. And that should be interesting for how we make choices for very low and extremely low and mixed
15
income.
seconds left.
For ourselves at this time and for the next few years. And good luck in our efforts how we can work together and make up to ourselves. Thanks.
Okay. Arshdeep, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to hopefully encourage or request you guys to, with this permit request, to also encourage and approve for it to be not just retail and residential, to try to encourage like even more true mixed use of having some commercial space in there for like corporate offices. Because then again, we would reach our San Jose goal of these like 15-minute villages where you have like retail, office, and residential all in one and closer together. And then also I would like to request for it to encourage or make it a requirement for having residential units that are coming up in these community neighborhoods, and I guess generally in San Jose, to have them all have outdoor space, like an attached balcony to each, just so that we have a continued community feel in these streets. And again, like such a need has been highlighted during this stay at home. Yeah, so that would be great if that could become a requirement for these high-rise residential buildings. And again, encouraging commercial, retail, and residential in the same building. And I think it would be really helpful if you do like retail ground floor, commercial the following floor, and then residential on the top, because that would also help the residents from road noise, because they'd be further away, and it would give the property owner of the building more sources of income so they deal with less concern of vacancy. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Diego, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak.
Good evening, Diego Berrigan. I'm a resident of the Spartan Keys neighborhood, but also to one of the initial neighborhood.
Diego, we cannot hear you. You need to speak more directly into the microphone or...
Hi, can you hear me now? Hello?
Still faint.
Can you hear me?
Better.
Okay. Yeah, I'm one of the authors of getting rid of the Martin Garden specific plan, but specifically I wanted to disagree with the applicant. Affordable housing does exist in our neighborhood. The case example is Second Street Studios, which they have retail on the bottom that's been unoccupied since its opening, and they just affordable housing and retail are unfortunately do not mix. They stay vacant. For some reason, again, tenants do not want to occupy it. And again, it's not just that one. You have the Art Arc over on Keys and Fifth Street, as well as Bella Castilla on 11th and 12th, which the city had to go ahead and open a neighborhood center with public funding in order to occupy that space. So what the applicant is saying is not true. Case examples in our neighborhood do exist of retail not correlating with affordable housing. Also, too, again, the city's need for affordable housing shouldn't rest on our back. We have six affordable housing developments in a 1 mile vicinity, and unfortunately, SB 30 does not address the overabundance of affordable housing in certain neighborhoods, and it needs to be spread out throughout the city. So I hope you guys would oppose the zoning change, keep it as is, and then let the developer go ahead and make do with the current existing use.
Okay. Next we have Paul. Paul, you are unmuted. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin to speak. Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul. It looks like you've unmuted yourself. I can't hear you yet.
Talk about very low to really actually articulate what that means, because these words are being thrown around a lot. I know exactly what it means, but there are people in our community that do not. And you just throw the word affordable out there, and people assume that, oh, okay, that means, it's going to be affordable. With the median income in San Jose being $132,000. This is the, incorrect, $123,000. That is the median income. 49% of Santa Clara County residents earn less than $60,000 a year. So when you were talking about affordability, you really need to articulate that. And I really believe that it is irresponsible. It is irresponsible for the Planning Commission not to be that precise in their language usage, because then we would all be operating on clear definitions on what you're talking about. Because the average citizen doesn't have the time to really research all of that stuff. I do. I've got the time, and I put in the hours. I put in my homework. I do my homework. I'm not going to just shoot from the hip from this forum. I know what I'm talking about, and I know what I'm looking at. Also, with regard to the gentrification, we have not talked about the redlining, and this is the perfect commission to do it. This commission is the commission to start talking about the restrictive covenants that created Willow Glen. And the fact that 4 members from this planning commission were from that area, the most redlined area in the city. They accumulated wealth, concentrated that wealth, and then 4 members are going to exercise that power that they accumulated on the backs of my people in order to play basically chess with my city. And so these definitions are very important to be able to articulate clearly what it is that you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. And that concludes our speakers.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll give the applicant 5 additional minutes to respond to public comment and make any closing remarks.
Okay, go ahead, Eric. You are unmuted.
All right, can you hear me now? All right, so in any case, what what the commission is considering today is adjusting the heights so that we can build a residential building here where residential has been planned for decades. And as we've stated, we intend to comply with the city's inclusionary housing ordinance. So I don't understand how it's a bad thing that a development wants to comply with city council policy of providing 15% of the units at low and very low income levels as required by city ordinance. And overall, we believe that mixed income development is a good thing in all neighborhoods in every corner of the city. And downtown San Jose, which this is walking distance to the core of downtown, has tens of thousands of service employees working, unfortunately not right now, but when we get back to normal, we have thousands of hotel workers, restaurant workers, cultural arts workers who have a challenge finding housing in our city anywhere, and especially finding housing near their work in the downtown area. So any unit that helps provide housing for workers in the downtown and in the neighborhood seems like a good thing to us. So with that, we hope that you will approve the general plan change and the zoning change so that we can build housing that's desperately needed for our city. I'm available for any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Eric, can you please clarify in as plain language as possible the percentage that will be affordable versus whether or not the entire project is affordable?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first of all, this is not a development of a nonprofit affordable housing developer subsidized by the city, which is what everyone thinks of when they think of affordable housing. But we will have a mixed income development so that we can secure financing. And what that means is we will provide the 15% inclusionary units as prescribed by city law, but then we may cap the price of the other units at much higher levels, at income levels around 70, 80, even $100,000 per household, because there is funding available if you assist people in the middle income levels. So that's our intent on the project. And as far as I've ever experienced, I've never heard anyone complain about a household making $70,000 or $100,000.
Thank you for that additional clarification. So at this point, I'm going to move to Commissioner questions, and Commissioner Oliverio has had his hand up patiently, so we'll go ahead and move to him first.
Thank you, Chair. When my parents moved to this country, we were in an apartment 0.3 miles from this location. So I know this neighborhood and this location very well. And I'm very enthusiastic about the change to the Martha Garden specific plan to allow this project to move forward. I think it's a very positive improvement, and I'm looking forward to supporting this. And thank you very much. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Commissioner Bonilla?
Yeah, to the applicant, Eric, if you could hear me, it wasn't clear to me. You're going to cap affordable housing at a particular rate, or are you saying we may open it up to more affordable? If you could clear that up for me a little bit, that'd be great.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the in terms of low income units, the city's inclusionary policy is what we intend to follow. So 15% of the units will have to be divided amongst 9% low income and 6% very low. But the remainder of the units will be at much higher AMIs, and because there is financing available for 80% AMI, for example, as a half the units at 80% AMI. So 80% AMI, as Mr. Soto pointed out, is a household making nearly $100,000. So that's your school teacher, that's your nurse, that's your hotel worker, your restaurant workers together in a household. So I don't understand what the concern is over units being made available for people making $80,000 to $100,000. But by doing that, by not
right.
Yeah, by not making them.
No, and if I go ahead.
I was gonna say, by allowing some caps on middle income units, that gets us access to financing we wouldn't otherwise get. And that's the strategy here for this project.
Got it. And on my end, like I said, there's no concern. I wanted clarification and understanding of that. So in a nutshell, there is a financing strategy involved in this, and that's why you are where you are right now, correct?
Yes. And when I said concern, just to clarify, I was not referring to Mr. Vice Chair. I was referring to the community members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions from the commissioners? Seeing no additional hands, we'll go ahead and do we have any questions for staff? Okay. So I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and I will ask for a motion.
Motion to
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Oliverio, and I think the second was Commissioner Ladinois.
Sure.
Okay. Would either like to speak to the motion?
No.
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the staff recommendation. We'll do a roll call vote. Vice Chair Bonilla.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Lardinois.
Aye.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Aye.
Commissioner Torrance.
Aye.
And Chair Caballero is also an aye. So that passes unanimously. Okay, as we can see on the screen, and we will, so number 9 is to close the general plan public hearing. So we're at this time closing the general plan public hearing, and it's my understanding that that was the last session for this winter season. So number 10 is referrals from city council, boards, commissions, or other agencies, and we didn't have any items on that number 10. So we'll move to number 11, which is good and welfare. Report 11A, which is a report from city council. Do we have a report, Michael?
Yeah, yes, we do. We do have a report. So yesterday, January 26th, there's 4 items to report on. So there was general plan amendment to make minor modifications and clarifying revisions to the Envision San Jose general plan. This essentially was about aligning the Midtown plan with the downtown strategy and the DSAP, the Diridon Station Area Plan that was approved in 2014. The council voted to approve that. That was approved. There was a private initiated general plan amendment for a property at 1953 via Rajagio Court. This is I think in North San Jose, or the eastern, just east of North San Jose. It was a general plan amendment for mixed use commercial, urban, residential, and existing apartment building. That was approved. There was a general plan amendment and conforming rezoning for a residential care facility at 470 West San Carlos. That's in the Diridon Station Area Plan area and the Delmas Park Strong Neighborhoods Initiative area. That was approved. Councilmember Perales requested that a designated staff member be a liaison to the community for this project, and Director Rosalind Huey agreed to that request. The next general plan amendment and zoning was for properties at 790 Portsmouth Drive and Brett Hart. This was a basically an old PG&E utility right-of-way that they didn't need anymore, and Summerhill Homes was proposing to change it from a utility designation or a transit and utility designation to a residential neighborhood designation, to potentially build single-family homes, obviously likely to build single-family homes in the future, and that was approved. And that concludes the council report from January 26th.
I'm on mute. Thank you so much. So item 11B is review and approval of action minutes from the December 9th meeting. Did we have any changes to the minutes?
So moved.
Okay. So we have a, I'm sorry, and I'm seeing a hand up. So before I finish that, I want to give the opportunity for public comment. So acknowledging that we have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Oliverio, but let's go to our public commenter before we take action.
Hey, I believe he spoke already. Is this, you want me to let him speak again?
If he's trying to speak on item number 11, yes. If this is on a different item, if the hand is still up, Mr. Beekman, please lower your hand.
And Chair would have to be on the item.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it on the item. Thank you. Shoot. I'm hoping it connects. I'll make it really short. The words of on the previous item of the developer, Eric Schoenhauser, I can't quite pronounce his last name, and Paul Soto, if it relates to the word, I hope it can relate to the words of the reports just given, that, we're looking at affordable housing ideas, that are very low income, that are in the, 50 to 60% range. That's $60,000, $70,000. Those people tend to be pretty good people to trust in a community, and I just wanted to make that point at this time, that and how we're all learning how to talk about these issues. These issues are new to myself. Thank you for your patience with myself. And I am one of those people, as Paul Soto said, just learning about this process. And that's how I'm understanding things right now. And good luck in our patience to understand and work with this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Oliverio, for the reminder that when our commenters speak, they need to be speaking specifically to an item on the agenda for which they have their hand raised. So at this point, we have a motion from Commissioner Oliverio on approval of the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Torrens. Would either like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Vice Chair Bonilla.
Aye.
Commissioner Casey.
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Lardinois.
Aye.
Commissioner Oliverio.
Aye.
Commissioner Torrens.
Aye.
And Commissioner Caballero is also an aye. I did not see, there were no items under C or D on our agenda for 11C or D. And then for the public record, do we have any of the commissioners who would like to speak on the public record? And I see Vice Chair Bonilla's hand was raised.
Yeah, no, I think as many of you may know, I was hospitalized pretty much December because of COVID-19. Sadly, my uncle, integral part of my family, passed away, Fernando Ramirez Senior. I want to end this meeting in his honor, but also to recognize he is just one of the many, many who have lost and sadly will continue losing lives during this pandemic. So I think this moment, as much as I want to end it honoring Fernando Ramirez Senior, equally as a reminder to all of us that although the governor in his infinite wisdom, and I get it, has lifted things, we are not anywhere near out of this crisis. So continue wearing masks, continue washing hands. I saw people who didn't make it in the hospital, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I want to also take this moment to thank Commissioner Lardenois for checking up on me, to Director Rosalind Huey for also checking up on me, and for Commissioner Torrance for supporting the East San Jose COVID Relief Fund. I appreciate the support, the collegiality, the coming together, and eventually over time, I hope we all get to actually meet in person. So that's my for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonilla, and glad to see that you are home and on the mend. Vera, I'd like to.
No, I just wanted to add, I share your concerns as well. My husband lost his father a few days before Christmas to COVID, and my brother-in-law is one of the long haulers with continuing respiratory problems for over 6 months. So those people out there who don't think that they have to wash their hands, that they can party without masks and get around that way, they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I just wanted to echo your sentiments.
Thank you, Vera.
Yeah, Rolando, I had no idea. I'm so glad to hear you're better, and my condolences to your family. It's very sorry to hear that. And
thank you.
Hope that everyone follows the science, and that we as a commission, as much as we'd like to see each other, I think we're getting our business conducted via web meeting. And if we do that the rest of 2021, that's fine by me.
Exactly.
Yes. I think we all need to do our part to ensure that we can slow the spread of COVID, even though the state is reopening. Sorry to Vera, to your your husband's father. So I know we all have been touched. Many of us have been touched by this virus over the course of the last year, and hopefully we'll start to see some light at the end of the tunnel as the vaccines roll out. So at this point, our next meeting is February 10th at 6:30 p.m. and I am going to go ahead and adjourn, and we'll see you then. Have a great evening and stay safe and dry and warm and healthy.